Okay, great. So let me pull up the agenda and share my screen with you all. Everyone can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just gonna starting to do a roll call from now on. I guess I can just jot down the names. We don't have to say present or anything. We're not in the chamber hall, so I'll just write everyone's names down. Okay. So scheduling next meeting is December 10th. Again, this will be based on like case by cases. I think we talked about that a couple meetings ago. So if we don't have any applications, that requires any advisory from the state tree commission, then we can always cancel the meeting, but you will know ahead of time. Like I will communicate with you to see if we need to host a meeting or not. I do have I do want to make sort of an announcement regarding, so moving forward, we are thinking about doing moving the commission to the Basecamp. It's a software that the planning commission, zoning board, card commission, they all use to share documents with members between planning department and the members of the commission. So if that's something that the CG commission is interested in, I think it would make everything easier for us all regarding communicating, sharing documents, making comments on prospective applications, rather than doing the emailing back and forth. So if that's something everyone is on board with, then I can put in a request with our IT department to get us started. So please keep that in mind and let me know your thoughts about that.
Do you need to make an account for that? Like to access it as a member?
I think you can access it via your email. Like you can give your email. It would have to be set up by the IT. So there is an account process, but I don't think like you can just sign up and join the whatever channel just for the security purposes. I think they would have to set it up. So I think they'll send you all the details. So that's all of the commission. Like I said, all of the commission members use that. And it makes it easier for myself as well to communicate in one place rather than doing the email route. So once I get everyone's good with it, I can share your emails with the IT department and we can get started with that process. Moving on. So the updates, I added the updates portion to the meeting. Some of the cases that you all give advice for regarding landscaping and planting trees, etc. 188 Court Street is up first. The Shade Tree Commission recommended planting of this was done via email, so I don't think we got to really talk about it during the meeting. We recommended, or you all recommended, to plant landscaping beds in the parking lot. Let me try to pull up the address so you are sort of aware of what I'm talking about here. So can everybody see my screen with the Google Maps, or is that still on the agenda?
Still on the
It's
agenda.
sharing the agenda screen.
Sorry. So this is a house that is going to be demolished. It got approval through various boards, and we had a plan. We received a landscaping plan from the applicant. They're going to have various spots in the park. There's going to be a parking lot here where the house is standing. It's going to be in combination with the existing parking lot that's on the rear of the property. Um, and the plan that was provided did not include sufficient landscaping beds. So this is like the existing parking lot that they're going to combine it with. And the State Tree Commission recommended planting of additional landscaping beds to forego a couple of the parking spaces. But the issue that the applicant raised at the planning commission meeting and the zoning board meeting was that implementing landscape beds in the middle of the parking lot would ensue problems during the winter season, removing snow, etc. So the commission did not rather take the advice of the Safety Commission for additional landscaping, and they approved the plan as is. Um, so that was the update for 188 Court Street. So they're only going to keep the existing, landscaping that's available on the site. Some of that you can see here, and some of the new landscaping that they provided on the original landscaping plan, which give me 1 second.
I'm just curious, like as a point of process, why wouldn't they just refer it back to us to think of another solution versus just being like, well, that's not going to work, and then
Yeah,
moving
I
past
mean,
it.
yeah. So like, since like, I guess the Safety Commission is really like an advisory board. It's not like like I don't know how to like put it. Like, it's not a. I'm not gonna say it's not a requirement. Like, landscaping is a requirement, but they wouldn't refer back to the City Commission and hold out the approval just for that landscaping aspect of the project. um, Here, I'll share the plan they essentially approved. So this was the plan that they approved, which is missing a lot of the landscaping. We calculated roughly, I believe, 74% that they're not providing, that they should be providing, and there should be landscaping along the eastern and the rear property lines. So sort of like separating the parking, or separated, yeah, the parking from the church, and their parking lot, as well as on the rear edges. Um, and one of the, I guess, the recommendation was that there would be somewhere in the middle, by the eastern edge of the parking lot, there will be another landscaping bed to sort of alleviate the required landscaping that they're not providing. But again, they made the, I guess, they said that it was gonna be an issue, during the winter, for like removal of snow, where they could just, in one sweep, they could go from the front to the rear rather than cutting corners. So that was the issue that they brought forth, and the commission unfortunately didn't really recommend another way, or didn't really tell the applicant to um, find another way, or find another avenue, or like that they have to provide that landscaping island in the middle of the parking lot. So this was ideally the plan that was approved. um, by the planning
Just
commission and
a,
the zoning board. I'm sorry, go
a
ahead.
quick question. Just mainly to make sure I'm understanding everything right. So when you say like required landscaping that they're not doing, how are they not doing it if it's required?
Well, they went to the zoning board to acquire the variance needed so that
Okay.
they wouldn't. I'm sorry.
No, sorry, I was just listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they went to zoning board to acquire a variance to not provide that much landscaping. Ideally, like I said, they would need that landscaping, entire side where the two parking lots meet on the eastern side as well as on the rear. That would all be, landscaping, and that would really push back these parking spaces into the driving aisle, and then they would require variances for the drive aisles as well. So and their plan was they're going to land the church some of their parking spaces during events, etc. So they wanted to create sort of like a uniform like parking space that cars could drive through each other's parking spaces. So if you had a landscaping there, then it's kind of like like almost like a fence or a border where you can't drive from one parking lot to the other. So they went through the zoning board, they got approved for not providing that much of the landscape. And then the planning commission really only can approve the actual site plan of the parking spaces. um, does that
Okay,
really
that
does that
makes
kind
sense.
of answer your
Y-
question, or?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think the only reason at least for me, that I wasn't pushing harder for landscaping is because I was assumed they kind of had to do it because it was required. I didn't realize they were asking permission to proceed without the required landscaping.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's like whenever there is like a parking lot that's being like proposed for a project, like they have to provide a landscaping buffer, 5 foot landscaping buffer on all sides that's abutting a parking
Hmm.
lot. But like I said, like applicant can also go in front of the zoning board to acquire a variance, area variance for landscape buffer, because for plethora of reasons. Like for this applicant, they have like they wanted to create a uniform sort of campus like parking lot where they could go from one parking lot to the other. But there are others where there's a one other case coming up, 159 Conklin, where they're asking for landscape buffer for different reasons, because otherwise we'll talk about 159 when it gets there. But there could be reasons where the parking lot is too small, or it may go like they may not be able to provide parking spaces because they have to provide the landscape buffer. So there are like different reasons why an applicant would go in front of the zoning board to acquire the variance.
Okay, yeah, that all makes sense to me. I just, in cases like this, I don't know how to like ask this question without sounding crass. Is it kind of just like they're asking us because they have to and they're going to do it regardless of what we say?
Well,
Or,
so they would ask like I guess the City Commission would get asked for the advice on the species of landscaping, or what would be better suitable for the parking space, etc.
Mhm.
But they're not really asking you. I mean, they're asking for your opinion on those things, but not like if they have to acquire the variance from zoning board for that. If they don't get granted, then they have to provide that landscaping. I guess I don't know if that really answers your question, but like um it's not like they're gonna, depending on, I mean, it also depends on the board that's being asked a request. So like they can make it an approval, conditional approval based on recommendations from the State Commission. So it's really up to the governing board, or the lead agency rather, to make that approval. So it's not you're just the recommendation from State Commission is just going into into garbage kind of situation. It really depends on the specific project, and also like I said, also depends on the lead agency on, if they want to sort of make it a approval based on, the findings and the advice from the Safety Commission.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just trying to get like wrap my head around what's expected of us / what the scope of what we could do is, because I'm more than happy to provide the recommendations. I just didn't know if it was going to be like, we heard you, but we're not doing
Yeah,
it kind of
I
thing for
got
all
you.
of them. So
What's that?
thank you for clarifying. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem, of course. So moving on to something that someone or some applicant that did take our advice and that did get approved was Fort Travis Avenue. And Fort Travis Avenue, they took our advice. They didn't plant like as many trees as you all wanted, but they did provide. I believe I sent the plan in the email. I don't know if you all had a chance to take a look. But I can pull it up here as well.
Hey, Ava, I could get my black and white cat up there too.
Have matching cats.
Yeah. I think mine is sleeping at the moment.
Yeah, this one never sleeps. He just wants to be held all the time.
So this is a Fort Travis plan that they submitted. The latest plan that they submitted includes the other updates for the site plan, but also one being the landscaping. They're only providing one tree, like I said, but they're taking some suggestions from the safety commissions, and they also implemented the type of bushes. I think inkberry was mentioned as is laid out in the plan as well as the type of tree that this plan, it was made into a conditional approval based on the recommendations from the Safety Commission. So this was one other update for the plan.
What tree did they select?
This was a honey locust, the one in the northeast corner here. And the rest of these were small shrubs. Actually, I think it's an evergreen shrub.
Yeah, they didn't go with boxwood, so good.
Yeah, it's like listed in the plant list. I don't know if you can see it
Yep.
right here.
Honey locust and inkberries. Okay. Well,
And yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and they will eventually combine the two lots. Like they'll make one big lot with the existing lot. So I don't think there will be opening onto the street here onto Travis Ave. I'm not 100% sure how they're gonna plan to do it. But I mean, it may be too late now, but I retrospectively, would have asked them to plant another tree on the edge here facing Travis Ave, because if this side was going to be closed off, because they're essentially expanding the existing parking lot, then we could have asked them to plant another tree here on the other side, which would help out even further. But that's where that plan stands as approved. And then 115 Murray Street. I believe Cam and Dr. Stafford had conversations with the applicant for 115 Murray through the email.
Yeah, that's because he contacted us.
Yep, he was essentially on a time crunch, and I told him that I would relay the message to you all, and then because it was in between meetings and we wouldn't have, because the planning commission meeting is every first Tuesday of the month and our meetings are on second Tuesday, so like he wouldn't have had time to find the appropriate plantings and landscaping that he would require to get approved, and he didn't want to wait another month
Sure. Yeah.
to get the approval. So and he I believe he did take in the suggestions from you all from the email chain, and he implemented into the final site plan, and that final site plan was approved. He did mention, the recommendations from the City Commission at the meeting as well. So that those are like ideally two positive. I would say, not saying 188 wasn't positive. It's just like they didn't really implement what you all wanted to see on the site plan. So, but other than that, 115 Murray and 4 Travis Avenue
I
ideally
did,
came through.
I did
Um,
have a question on that, Shaylin, which I didn't hear an answer to, but right in the corner there to the east of the building, there were standing trees there, I think. Are these going to be kept? Do you happen to know? And incidentally, I sympathize if we've said something once, I don't intend us to, review it again and give them, a second assignment sort of. So, but I did just wonder what was in here. We gave them a recommendation about this here on the, on the west side, but
um, I'm not 100. I can revisit the plans, the existing, and the conversations we had with the applicant, and like let you all know. I'm not 100% sure right now, on top
yeah,
of my head,
I think
whether.
it's not a big deal, but it looked to me like there were standing trees there from one of the photographs. And
Yeah, I do believe I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
good.
I want to say he's going to keep them, but again, I'm not 100% sure, and I can find that out and let you all know at the
Okay.
next meeting.
Yeah.
But um,
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That's fine.
yep, no problem. Okay. Moving on to this. Sorry, I'm like zooming from my browser, and it's like very hard to manage so many tabs and everything. So the new plans for this upcoming planning commission public hearing, which is in December, the first Tuesday. Um, 159 Conklin now. They are looking for, I guess, some suggestions on the species of plants that could be planted. This is a development project. It's a mixed-use development project taking place at 159 Conklin, ground floor commercial, and three floors above, 3 or 4 floors above, residential. Mostly one bedroom and 2 bedroom units, and they're providing a parking lot on the rear of the property, facing the flood wall and the river there. Um, and they
You,
needed some, I guess, the applicant didn't know what sort of trees and plants that would be sustainable in the New York sort of uh, climate. So the original plan that the applicant provided included some of the species, and the planning commission chairman said that he would have to revisit the site plan that was generated to come up with other species that could be sustainable in this area. And he did provide, I guess, one more update that I sent to you all via the email. It just came in, I believe, yesterday, and we were off yesterday, so I sent it this morning. I don't know if you all were able to see it, briefly take a look, but I can pull it up again.
good, because I missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, no
I was
worries.
looking at it, and it looks like they're gonna put in those 4 parking lot shade trees, and it's listed as red maples and American elms. I'm a bit nervous about the elms just because the historic blight, and then there's a recent pest that's coming in after our elms, the zigzag sawfly. So I would try to recommend a different species there that might stand a better chance, which is sad because the elms are fabulous trees, but I don't want to set them up for failure.
Or at least a
Okay.
hybrid elm.
There's also potential maybe to switch elm out with American basswood potentially. I think they have kind of a similar, sorry,
Hmm.
similar height.
Okay. Um,
So, excuse me, I don't see the code kind of, are these, are the large circles at the top? Those are what you're talking about, either elm or, what was the other choice? But anyway,
Red maple. It's the
Red-
3 at the top, and then there's a
One at-
second one to
yeah,
like
okay.
at the bottom part of the parking lot. It's looking like they're suggesting 2 red maples and 2 American elms. I'm fine with the maples, but elm I would suggest a different species.
Yeah,
Um,
makes sense
like
to me.
Linda said, a hybrid elm is fine, or the basswood, like Ava said. I don't really have a strong preference towards which. I just don't think American elm would be a great choice there.
yeah, they have the I guess the concept plan schedule on the upper left. I just scroll up. So you know the different amount and whatnot they're
Oh, yeah.
planting. And I get so this applicant is also going to the zoning board to ask for a landscape variance, because they can't provide all 5 foot landscape buffer around the entirety of parking lot abutting the or entirety of the property line abutting the parking lot, due to one being the space, like if they were to do it um, all 5 feet on all the sides facing then they would be cutting into the drive aisle, as well as the amount of parking spaces they would need to cut back on that. And they're already asking for about 50% of relief from parking spaces. So they're right now they're looking at needing about 29 spaces just for the commercial use and the units that they're going to put. But if they were to, and they're only about providing 15 right now as is, and they have no real other plan other than street parking, um, which it's not street parking is not like spaces that they own. It's like a public parking, etc. So that wouldn't really count. So they're asking for up to 50% relief from the planning commission, to forego the requirement, which means that they will have to cut into some of the buffer, some of the landscape buffer, and that can be seen in the plant right away. If you look like closer to, I guess, the between the snow storage and flood wall, that's not that they're asking about 2 feet of landscape buffer, that they're providing about 3 feet of landscaping there. And then along the sides, I guess at least going to the the driveway going into the parking lot, they're asking about 3 feet of landscape buffer on that side, so that way it doesn't cut it into the drive aisle. So they're gonna be going in front of the planning commission in December, as well as the zoning board, so to ask for that variance.
Well,
If we're in a space to be, sorry, go ahead, Shauna.
oh, I was just going to say, just looking at it from Google Maps right now, it doesn't really seem like there's much there that they're taking down. So at least it's like comparable to what's there already, which is, they're making more parking, but it looks like it's it'll be a more organized space than what it is now.
Yeah.
And if we're in a space to compromise with them, I would much rather see them keep some of the larger trees than some of the small ones on the side. So I don't know exactly what they're planning on being included in that 50% relief, but the 4 large shade trees, I would strongly encourage them to keep preferentially over the small shrubs on the drive in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I kind of forgot this one is right up against the river. I saw the flood wall and I realized the Susquehanna River is right back there. So incorporating some more kind of riparian tree species, I think might be good as well. Like maybe sycamore, something like that. Red maple is a pretty, it likes riparian as well. But just seeing more things that you normally see along a floodplain. I can come up with a few species and send them over, but sycamore is one that comes to mind. It's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, swamp white oak would be good. London plane is a hybrid of the sycamore too. That would do well.
Yeah, let me just say that sycamore, it's a lovely tree. It does have some kind of disease that prevents it from leafing out early, and I don't know much about that. Do you, Ava, or anybody else? Um,
Um, I've heard a little bit about that. I wasn't aware that it was affecting the timing of it leafing out. I thought it was more about making the seeds sterile.
okay,
It might be related. I don't know. I honestly don't know a
yeah,
lot about that. And I don't know of many of the trees in our area that are affected with it. But if they were buying in stock from somewhere else, I'm not sure if it would, be spreading it or what.
okay. Anyway, as Cam sort of mentioned, London plane is a good substitute for that. It's
Sure.
actually a hybrid, as Cam said, but it's between our sycamore and the European sycamore, which they call something different. I forget what. But anyway, the hybrid is called the plane tree. And by the way, that's spelt like an airplane, not like a a plain donut or something. Uh, anyway, so I would say London plane is an idea. And I guess I'd go with a compromise. I kind of wish they would plant some big trees along the eastern side there, along the entrance driveway. But um,
That could be a little bit. I don't know. Could make a suggestion like that suggestion definitely. But I don't know how much space it would like require, like the stump and aspect.
yeah,
Also, like the eastern like landscape buffer is, I think, smaller by a feet compared to the one by the flood wall.
yeah,
So that could be also another aspect why they're doing the bigger trees in the back and sort of the smaller
yeah,
ones up by the driveway. And also considering there'll be like entering and not much of entering really, but like exiting,
yeah, sure.
that could be a problem in the
Yeah.
future. Um, just to sort of disturb the view from
Oh,
the
yeah.
city.
Well, there are regulations about that. Yeah.
Yep. Um, Anybody else have any other suggestions that they would like to make? Just looking at the plan. If you don't have it right now, that's fine. You can also, between now and December 3rd, before they meet, I would like to, get this into the applicant so they can make one final sort of plan that they can submit to the planning commission. If not, I will move on to the last case, which is 229 Main Street. And did you all have a chance to look at this one in the email?
No.
So this one, they had no landscape buffer included in the plan, right? There was no information.
Correct. Well, they're providing some, like they have like some existing, landscaping that they acquired from the previous applicant, and they did mention that there were a couple of trees on the site plan, which I didn't see it. Like they mentioned it at the planning commission meeting, the first one, that they plan to like they were gonna get rid of, but they plan to keep now, knowing, which I mean, again, I don't see that on the actual plan. So that's something I can reach out to the applicant.
Could
But
you?
again, they didn't really, and again, they didn't really provide like a landscape plan either. So that's like it's a little bit difficult to for you all. I'm assuming to recommend something, and some of the existing trees in the back that they're according to their plan that they're getting rid of. um,
That's what I was questioning, actually. Why must they do that? I mean, existing trees, we try to protect them.
yeah. they didn't really, give a like explanation. I guess like those might be the trees. Like I don't see any other trees on the, on the plans that they provided, except for the on the the one label, I guess page 3 of the site plan, like the, the big trees in the back.
Mhm.
I'm assuming those ones were the ones that, the applicant talked about, that, they originally had plans to remove, but now they might not remove. And they're going to, keep the trees. And I can find more information about that before the meeting takes place. But I guess my question to you all would be like, what other, landscaping that you recommend for this site plan? And is there something you want the applicant to change from what you see right now until the meeting?
Shaylin, if you could just easily put up the basic side plan, excuse me, I'd appreciate it.
Hold on. I thought I shared my screen. 1 second.
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't know. I was just talking and talking, and I didn't know it was not up. I apologize.
Yeah, so
but
little triangle
also-
13 says remove all trees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
what I saw.
Oh.
Yes.
yeah, that's what I was. I think they mentioned part of this at the meeting, and originally they were gonna, plan to remove those trees. But I think they later said that they were gonna keep it. If that's what the commission wanted, I think the planning commission would like to, see those trees remain as is. But other than those trees and like couple shrubs in the front, there is not really much any other landscaping, I guess, like, that can be seen, I guess, from the existing site, um, or what they're proposing. So if there's something more that, the city commission would like to see on the site, um, I can make that, I can not make the recommendation. I can, sort of talk to the planning commission to make it into the approval.
If possible, I don't see a need to cut down those pre-existing large trees. So if we could argue to keep those, I think that would be good, and also would save the project planners time and resources. The green space on the plan are they just planning on mowing that, like just keeping it as mowed lawn, or?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
They did say they were maintaining whatever it was, and I wasn't clear on what it was.
There's like a
It
hedge
looks like
in
one
front of the
shrub.
building.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's where Binghamton Fluorescent is, or used to
Yeah.
be.
Yep, they're just converting that into like a convenience store, and then they're adding gas fuel pumps. Um, and since this is like, I mean, part of it involves parking lot, abutting the side property lines, the aspect of landscaping comes into play. And I think they said they couldn't provide landscaping right near the entrance and exit onto Main Street, which, I mean, it kind of makes sense because there will be like lots of car movement in and out if you were to provide a landscaping right along, either side. I mean, not much so on the, the entrance side from Main Street, but really the exit side. It would kind of impede the traffic going to the fuel pumps.
Um, I also know that this used to be a gas station, like I guess some decades ago. So I'm sure like getting trees rooted there would probably be kind of hard with the existing infrastructure. But something that, as someone who like walks around a lot in Binghamton, and I'm just always looking for like opportunities to put more trees near the sidewalks. It's so like hot when you're walking on the sidewalks, and I just feel like even if it was just in that front section where the shrub is, like I don't think that they need vehicle access to that spot. And if we could just say that it would be great if you had trees like along the where there's any sort of open space next to the sidewalk that could at least provide like a pedestrian benefit. And
You mean like like somewhere around the shrubs, like number
Yeah.
12 on the, like, plant a tree on either side maybe of that shrub up front.
yeah,
Okay.
I support that idea too, from bicycling and walking around Binghamton.
Yeah,
Does it
or
say
even
what the
putting a
shrubs
tree
are?
or a shrub in on that left side where that grassy strip is, just like right where the sidewalk kind of meets the grass. I feel like that could be a spot to also put some kind of shade tree.
Okay. Sage.
Does it say what the shrub is?
Just says existing landscaping.
No, it just says like existing. They didn't really provide, again, they didn't really provide like any landscaping plans. I just wanted to, seeing that they were having conversation about the trees and, existing landscaping. I just wanted to bring this in front of, to you all, to ask for, any sort of advice that you may have for the applicant.
Yeah, if you can kind of see it on Google Maps if you look at the property. Yeah, Sean, I just put the link up. It kind of just looks like a boxwood or something. It's, yep, just like a chunk, like one big shrub.
So unattractive looking.
Yeah, and I would just point out that about that back edge, the southern edge, that does border on a residential area.
Correct.
And, so I think there's even more reason to plant trees along there.
Yep, they were asked to ask if they would be okay to provide a fencing. I believe it was either 6 foot or 8 foot privacy fence along that side. So that was another avenue. And obviously trees are great in that aspect as well.
yeah, if that strip of trees is theirs, I would highly encourage them to keep them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes so long for trees to grow. I don't understand how people can just be like, oh, I'll just cut those down.
Yeah. Yeah, that takes an hour. It takes 20 years to grow a tree.
Yeah,
And I
if-
definitely,
That looks great. God, who would take those down? I hadn't looked at that carefully.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely keep those trees if possible. And I highly agree with what the other folks already said about
They
trees
may
where the
not
shrubs
all-
are.
They may not all be on the property, of course, but still.
Like, honestly, I would even be fine with getting rid of the shrubs in favor of some trees. The shrubs are kind of ugly.
yeah, I don't think the shrubs are really adding much shade value.
Yeah.
Although if they were opting for shrubs like along the sidewalk or something, that could be, well, as long as you're going to maintain them.
Yeah, it looks like some of the trees might be on. I mean, again, I don't know the survey of the area, and I don't know who owns, this portion of the land. But it could be on, the neighboring property. But that's really up to, the applicant and, the neighboring property owner to decide. But I'm going to, put that into, I guess, a suggestion from the city commission to keep the trees that are existing on the rear of the parcel, as well as addition of a few more trees really in front of the building, right where
yeah.
the shrubs are. Correct.
It's gonna have to be a less than 30 footer because they got power lines right
Yeah, that's true.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Serviceberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work.
Cherry trees or
Red-
tree lilacs, they'd be fine.
A redbud would also be fine there, I think, right? How big do those get?
What did you say, Cam? Which?
An eastern redbud. I don't think they get
Oh, yeah.
particularly
No,
tall, do they?
Yeah, no, that would be lovely.
And
I'm
they're
afraid
also
it
very pretty in the
looks a
spring.
bit bleak the way it is.
Yeah.
That strip of lawn on the other side, that might not be big enough for tree.
Yeah. They're also planning on, I believe there is going to be an entrance from the front
Oh, really? I
as
see.
well. That's what they were discussing at the meeting. So that could, depending on, if they choose to pursue that, a tree might not be possible. Like 2 trees might not be possible. Maybe,
Right.
we can add like a smaller tree in the corner there by the
Yep.
stop sign to provide that shade. But also, again, that's gonna be the visibility aspect too. Right by the stop sign. So I'll make that suggestion, and I'll let you all know what the planning commission decides at the meeting.
Do planning commission decisions go through city council or through the mayor? Like, are they the kind of the final stop before they get?
They're the final stop unless like something needs to be recommended to the city council. Like if somebody wanted to open like a tobacco shop that's like within 500 feet of a school, they would first go to the planning commission, and then ideally, since it's within 500 feet, it's not allowed. The planning commission would do a recommendation of denial to the city council, and then the city council can overrule planning commission, so they can allow if they want to. Ideally, so they can all vote, and they can either take the planning commission's decision of denial and outright deny the applicant, or they can, like I said, they can overrule the planning commission and approve. But usually most site plans are it for planning commission. There is no like going to the mayor or going to the planning or city council. There is instances where something is approved and somebody else may not agree about the approval or whatever, then they can go to the city council and make an appeal, and that's a whole different process. Um, but
Gotcha,
yeah,
thanks.
yep.
I was just thinking about with noting that the trees couldn't be too tall. Would something like a gray dogwood work, or would that maybe not work as well in that more small formalized setting?
Say that
That's
again.
what people thought.
What was the species again?
A gray dogwood. I was just
Actually,
Oh,
thinking.
gray dogwood is a shrub.
Yeah, no, I know it's a shrub, but
Okay.
I was just saying like if there are concerns about like really tall trees being there with the power lines.
another nice option actually is, I think it's called Japanese dogwood, or Kusa dogwood, That's the one that looks like a flowering dogwood, but keeps flowering all summer. And anyway, that grows into a nice small tree, or a big bush, if you like.
Any other suggestions or opinions on 229?
I could just look at the tree list for less than 30 footers. There's lots of good options.
So that really does it for today's meeting. There is nothing else on the agenda, unless anybody else has anything they wanted to talk about. I did talk to Dr. Burling about the starting the Citizen Pruners program back up again. I believe I couldn't talk to Nick because he's out until a later time. So hopefully he'll join us next meeting. But Dr. Burling is on the call. I don't know if she would like to chime in on,
Hi,
on
I
the
was trying to remember how many were on the committee previously when we held the shade tree or the pruner program. I know Dr. Shepherd, you were on the committee then?
Yes.
Okay. It was
Yeah, it was kind of a bit ad hoc, and we at that time we had the fellow who's now the greenhouse director at BU, Josh Demery, and he was actually an expert tree pruner, and he organized some citizen groups. It was it was totally volunteer, but I don't know how much. But since that time, we've actually got a couple of arborists in the Parks Department, which we didn't have originally. So maybe they're looking after that now. I don't really know, but of course Nick could talk to that.
right. I think they would appreciate help. I know that. But we could finalize that with Nick. What I was thinking is if the Parks Department is interested in us bringing the Citizen Pruning Program back, we could ask them to help provide training. Then we would hold a public meeting to see who was interested and how many people would come to the meeting, sign them up, provide the training, and go from there. But Solon, did Nick indicate interest in it?
he hasn't been to the meetings lately, so I can't really. I didn't talk him outside of the meeting. So hopefully I don't want to like email him and like back and forth. So I can, when he comes back to work, I guess I can, drop by in person, or we can have a conversation at the next meeting and sort of hopefully kickstart this, program come next year.
Well, let's
So-
touch base with them
So
then.
what was the structure before, Julian? How organized was this? You set up work days and went out, but you were with the city forester and
No, actually, it was almost totally volunteer. Josh Demery was very experienced, so he could run a training program, which is what he did a bit of.
but then what did you turn people loose on their own and they were
Yeah,
how organized was it?
I think part of the idea is a lot of people in neighborhoods are often quite enthusiastic about doing something like that. And so the idea was to get people in neighborhoods responsible for neighborhood pruning.
Right. I recall we did have, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to remember, but we did have like a day set, but that we would do it. But people kind of had their own jurisdictions, their own neighborhood. But it was easier to pick one day because then Dr. Andrus would go with his truck and pick up all the wood. Do you remember?
Yes, yeah, that was an important part. I remember helping with that.
Right. If no one here plans on picking up the wood, we could schedule the days right before the yard waste pickup day.
Yeah, sure. That's an idea too.
Okay. But we provided training, and I think we gave T-shirts. And did we give shears or make them available?
We must have done something I don't remember, but not everybody has shears. Yeah.
Right. But we had the big yellow bright T-shirts that said city worker or city employee, so people weren't questioning, what are you doing out here? Why are you trimming the tree?
No, that's an issue too. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I could reach out to Josh, see if that would be helpful.
That would be great. Yeah. See if he's
That's nice, Sean. If you have any trouble, I was talking to him this morning because I work in the same building as him. So,
well, maybe you could talk to him then.
Okay.
That would be great if he was interested. That'd be good.
Yeah, I'll question him about that.
Okay. And we'll double check with Parks Department.
Oh, no, yeah, I just will include one thing very briefly. I talked with him this morning. You might be interested. He's actually quite concerned about the death of the black ashes because the indigenous Haudenosaunee people actually use it for their basket working, and it's only black ash that you do. So guess what he's done? He located a source to get 12 black ashes. They're very hard to find these days because of the borer, and he's actually going to grow some in the greenhouse and give some to the Haudenosaunee people. So I just thought I'd tell you that because black ashes, of course, have been devastated by the borer.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah. Anyway, I have one other comment, Shaylin. Just
Sure.
thanks to you and Juliet for getting us rolling again. It's wonderful to have good minutes and to actually be able to review these things. So thank you.
Thank you. No
All
problem.
of it.
That's a good point you bring. I wanted to start doing motions for like approving minutes and stuff in the meeting. I forgot that we should have done that beginning of the meeting. So before everybody leaves, I would like to get the motion for minutes and as well as motion for the adjournment of the meeting, I guess.
One very small correction, Shaylin, on the
Sure.
minutes. Look at the spelling of plane tree. That's all. It's just, it's the wrong plane.
Okay.
But I don't want to belittle the trees. That's why I want you to call them by their proper name.
Got you.
It sounds like a plane tree is just nothing.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to amend the meeting minutes. Can I get a first?
Yeah.
Okay. It was first. And can I get a second?
Sure. Me.
Dr. Safford. Everybody who agrees, I guess say A.
A.
Raise your hand. And I'll take a motion for adjourn. Can I get a first?
Wait, I had one question though.
Sure. Go ahead.
When are we going to talk about the planting plans for, I guess, next year, the next season?
That we can get that from Parks Department. I haven't seen the plan yet. Have you, Shalene?
No, he hasn't, relayed any information to me. Nick hasn't. So let me try to get that before. Try to talk to him before our meeting, our next meeting, and I'll see what I can find out.
Yeah, because I just would like to have for the group to have a chance to look at it and think of like ideas,
Mhm.
if there's room for that.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I guess so. Before we do the adjournment, actually, is everybody good with second Tuesdays for next year as well? So we have to give these dates ahead of time to the IT, so that they can put it on the calendar on the city's website. So would the second Tuesday at 1 work for everybody next year?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And all the credit for pulling this Shade Tree Commission back together goes to Salad. Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Okay, so now I'll make a motion for adjournment. Can I get a first?
I think Linda.
Oh,
Linda?
wasn't looking.
And Sarah, did you raise your hand as well? Okay, second by Sarah. All in favor?
Yep.
Good. I will see you all back in December. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.